Hello everyone and welcome to a new Infinity Kingdom video. This is Kincaid from server M14 and we're gonna talk about the legendary skills in the Tower of Knowledge in Conquest Season. We're gonna rank every skill into a tier list. We're gonna talk about each and every skill. We're gonna talk briefly about each and every skill, how strong it is, how you can use it. And so let's get started right away. This is the tier list I made. Start with broken and then OP, strong, weak, and then waste of money. And yes, believe it or not, there is some skills in the legendary tier right now that is considered, at least in my opinion, a waste of money. So I would like to start with the most broken skill. I already talked about it, which is the energy mastery. Energy mastery, without a doubt, is the strongest skill in the Tower of Knowledge currently, especially when it's used on a damage dealer in the back row, which is basically the only kind of immortal that you can use it on. I'm using it on Himiko and I'm seeing some insane numbers. It helps regain the energy, it increases the damage by 100%. So basically the strongest skill without a doubt in the Tower of Knowledge. I believe it's the only skill in the broken tier right now. So let's talk about the other skills as well. The second skill I want to talk about is Infinite Firepower. Infinite Firepower is definitely one of the strongest skills in the Tower of Knowledge. Infinite Firepower works only on mages. It deals damage every 3 seconds, which is why this skill is so OP. The damage ratio is 350%. This skill, when they first released it the first time, it was 400%. I believe the chance was 55% and the damage ratio was 400%. However, they adjusted it a little bit. They increased the ratio and they reduced the damage. This is how OP was the skill is. They had to nerf the skill after people actually purchased it. And also, as a nice bonus, it increases the energy regain speed by 20%. So in my opinion, it is a very strong skill, but it has a very limited use since you can only use it on mages. Such as Himiko or maybe Loki. If you're using any other mage, you can also use the skill, but again, very limited uses. This is why I'm only gonna place it on the OP tier and not on the broken tier, since you can use energy mastery on all kind of back row damage dealers. The next skill we're gonna talk about, one of my favorites, which is Fountain of Life. Fountain of Life basically was made to counter no escape because it gives you immunity to the silence effects at the beginning of the fight for 6 seconds. So as long as you're using Fountain of Life, you're not gonna be silenced at the beginning of the fight by no escape. So basically no escape is very useless against this skill. So this was initially my thoughts about the skill, but I noticed that the recovery rate that applies every 3 seconds is actually very OP. It applies 100 up to 150% recovery rate to all immortals, and it also increases the self-healing on the immortal that is using the skill by 16% up to 20%. This is actually very strong and very OP. The skill does insane amount of heals, and it is very useful in long fights, especially if you're using a skill such as Spring of Life. Spring of Life actually triggers every 3 seconds as long as you receive a heal. So if you're using both Fountain of Life and Spring of Life, they both have OP synergy. So in my opinion, the skill alone, the Fountain of Life alone, could actually be OP tier. However, combined with a skill such as Spring of Life, it could be a broken tier. However, it has a very minor issue that if you're up against someone that is using wounds, the skill is not gonna be that effective and you're not gonna make use of any of the heals that you get from the skill. So it only goes to the OP tier. I could have placed it in the broken tier, but it needs a lot of other skills to work or to be broken. You need at least Athena if you're up against wounds, and you need Spring of Life as well. So the skill as it is right now only goes to the OP tier. We're gonna talk also about one of the most strongest skills in the Tower of Knowledge, which is Life Protection. Life Protection has a unique way to work. I'm still not sure how exactly it works, but as you can read on the skill, it reduces the damage for both back row immortals by up to 35%. It also increases the healing effect for the back row. Is it the back row? Self-healing by 40%, reduces the damage received by back. It only increases the heals by the immortal that is being used the skill on, which is the support immortal. It increases the healing effect for the support immortal by up to 50%. However, it reduces the damage for the back row allies by up to 35%, which means that as long as you're using it, you can protect both your support immortal and your damage dealer immortal, or even if you're using both support immortals, you can protect both of them by using life protection. The skill is very OP. However, sometimes it goes to random mode and it doesn't work at the right time, and you receive a huge damage and a huge amount of damage, and then you lose a big chunk of your HP. Meanwhile, the skill is not working. The skill is goes to the OP tier. I would actually place it in the strong tier, but it still has a very solid use. So I'm gonna place it in the OP tier. And this list is based on compared to the other red skills. Like, this is not compared to all the Tower of Knowledge skills, but among only the red skills in the Tower of Knowledge. So I'm gonna place life protection to the OP tier just because it has a bit of randomness into it. That part I don't like about the skill. Let's talk about this skill here that I forgot its name. I think it was, yeah, Drastic Action. Drastic Action was one of the first 3 skills that appeared in the Tower of Knowledge. I think the first 3 skills that appeared was Drastic Action, Last Stand, and then Infinite Power. Those were the very first 3 skills that appeared in the Tower of Knowledge. Drastic Action actually got multiple buffs. So many things changed about the skill. I think the reduced healing effect was 50%. The damage ratio was maximum of 500%. And not sure what else was changed about the skills, but I remember it was buffed 2 times because the skill was not really that efficient or that active. The skill still, I don't see that good of numbers from the skill, to be honest. I see a lot of people using it on attack immortals. Haven't seen anyone using it on ranged immortals, or haven't seen them much, but still I don't see good numbers from the skill. And in my opinion, if you're looking to one skill that could change your march, this skill is considered a waste of money. I don't really like the skill. It doesn't deal that much damage. It's not very efficient versus heals because it applies to only one target. I know it deals a huge amount of damage, and if the target has low HP, it could instantly kill him. But in order to reach this stage of the fight, you need to deal damage first, and this skill is not really a game changer. This is why it goes to the waste of money tier. All right, Last Stand. I've seen a lot of mega whales use it on an immortal such as Wukong. Is very strong on Wukong, but I think it's only strong on Wukong because it synergizes very well with his own skill, because the lower Wukong's HP, the more damage his ultimate skill deals. But I don't see any other uses for the skill. I've went against a lot of people who are using the skill. Even there is a mega whale in our server that is using the skill that I could beat him sometimes in arena. I think its name is, I think I lost the report, but I see it is Rainbow. Yeah, Rainbow still using the skill on his Wukong Last Stand, and sometimes I could beat him on, maybe he's not using the right build, I know, but still he's using a lot of red skills and he's using a very solid build on his Apollo. So I don't think this skill is worth it unless you're a mega whale who's running Wukong. This is why, in my opinion, this skill goes to the waste of money tier if you're looking for one skill or maybe 2 skills to completely change your march. I'm gonna talk about a very interesting skill right now, which is Battle Frenzy. Battle Frenzy is one of my favorite skill at some point of in the Tower of Knowledge, because I had a lot of plans for this skill, because it has a very similar way to work to full coverage. If you know the skill full coverage in the epic, from the epic skills, I don't know where it is. Ultimate skill. The skill deals a lot of physical damage to the entire enemy team. I'm still trying to find it. I think it was a low level skill. There it is. So after each release of energy skill, there is a 70% chance to deal 1 physical damage to the whole enemy team, which is 300%. This skill was OP on an immortal such as Hippo, or any attack immortal that has a very high energy regain, which is basically one of my favorites, which is Hippolyta. And I used this skill on Hippolyta and it used to give me insane results. So Battle Frenzy has the same mechanics. After releasing an energy skill, deals physical damage. It doesn't have the chance, it has a 100% chance, so it doesn't have this random side to the skill. So the damage is 400%, so that's a lot more compared to full coverage, and it reduces the physical damage dealt to the entire enemy team by 50% for 9 seconds. So this could work as a very big counter to physical damage dealers, maybe Apollo, maybe Wukong, and maybe Alex sometimes. So this is a very strong skill to be used on the right immortal. I don't think it is one of the main skills that you should go for if you're looking for a skill for your main March. However, I think this skill is still very OP for certain uses, so I'm gonna place it in the strong tier here. All right, attack and defense. Attack and defense is very old skill. I think it was specifically made for an immortal such as Anubis, because it increases your defense by 100% and it deals damage every 6 seconds up to 400%. I honestly, I haven't seen that good numbers from the skill. Even when it was used on Anubis, I've seen a lot of players using the skill on attack immortals, and somehow I managed to beat them. So the skill is not really that strong when it's used on defense immortals or even attack immortals. So I'm gonna place it on the weak tier here, and I could also consider it a waste of money, but a lot of players actually like to use it on Anubis, and I honestly I'm very convinced that it goes to the waste of money tier, but I'm not gonna leave this here. So it goes to the weak tier, and that's it. That's how I feel about the skill, honestly. And the last skill that appeared in the Tower of Knowledge in the recent patch, Knife Through Butter. I think they made the skill specifically for an immortal such as Aris. Still, I don't see any good uses for the skill. I've seen a lot of players using the skill on Alex for the reduced energy part. So basically the skill deals not that much of damage. It deals 200% damage to all enemies after landing 6 normal attacks. And that's it. And it has a 60% chance to reduce the target's energy by 100%. I think the energy reduction is quite nice, but landing 6 normal attacks is gonna force you to use an immortal with a very high attack speed, such as Alex or maybe Aris. And I haven't seen them dealing that much damage, because as long as you're using one of these immortals and you can afford the skill, you're gonna end up using the immortal with either Himiko or maybe Apollo, and is never that good, to be honest. I have seen a lot of people using it. I haven't seen that good numbers yet. I'm not really sure where to place it, so I'm gonna place it on the weak tier for now until they either buff the skill. Maybe they will buff it, maybe they will increase the damage, but the condition for activating the skill is quite annoying. I mean, landing 6 normal attacks takes quite some time, even for an immortal such as Alex with the highest attack speed on the game, if you have the right artifact with the rapid effect. So it goes to the weak tier for now. I have seen a lot of people using the skill along with Wind Rage. I don't think it triggered the skill, because Wind Rage is not really triggering another normal attack, but it deals damage similar to the normal attack. But I don't think it's gonna trigger skill. I'm not sure, to be honest, but I don't think it will trigger Knife Through Butter. I haven't tested the skill myself. All I've seen is just random reports from here and there in the Throne of the Supreme, and that's all about it. It goes to the weak tier for now, and this is it. This is my legendary skill tier list, with of course the most broken one, Energy Mastery. This is it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and have a wonderful day.